the infinitive construct can take pronominal suffixes, and that's to help us to parse this. And these pronominal suffixes actually function either as subject or object of the verbal idea. So let's say if we'll have kathlo, we could translate it as his killing or killing him. Okay? So in this way we have to identify both infinitive construct and the pronominal suffix in our parsing. Then there is a certain issue with prepositions. Prepositions can be directly added to the infinitive construct, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Because now you have an infinitive, and then it makes it into a more of an infinitive with a preposition. If you'll say to by adding le, and then zakor, it's kind of like to remember, something like that. So let's say how it's used in translation. If you put le before the infinitive construct, it's actually going to be not to remember, but a better way to translate it will be in order to remember. Okay? And of course, if you add ka with shiva in front of the shin, with shiva it will be lengthened to hirek, and then we'll have kishmor, which will be translated not as observing, but while observing. And observing here is more of a participial form when we translate it into English than the infinitive form, but still grammatically it's an infinitive. Okay? Both pronominal suffixes and prepositional prefixes can occur with the infinitive construct. So like any verb or verbal idea or verbal statement, it can take both prefixes and suffixes. So you should be ready for it. It will even confuse you more as far as finding out what is the root of the verb, because it is already an infinitive construct form. Plus you have a suffix and the prefix you have to identify, and then turn the infinitive construct into the lexical form of the verb. So, to make your life easier, let's look at the color scheme. Ke, sham, o. See, there's a prefix, or rather preposition, ke, added to the infinitive construct plus the suffix, pronominal suffix, right? So it will be translated as when he hears or heard. Right? So it will be parsed as kal infinitive construct of shama'a with preposition ke and third masculine singular pronominal suffix.
Is the color scheme thing working there?
It's red and blue.
Right.
And that's black.
But the
red,
black
and blue.
Right, but the blue
Yeah,
represents he,
yeah,
actually.
exactly.
That
He,
should be,
yeah.
the blue should be the he, and the black should be the
Yeah, actually, I copied it from the handouts that are prepared for this disc, so they're doing it wrong on the disc. And of course, being absent-minded professor, I just copied it directly.
The font on his computer
without
won't let
thinking.
me do it.
Why? How do we negate infinitive constructs? We already learned how to negate verbs. We already learned how to negate imperatives. Now we need to learn how to negate infinitive constructs. We are not using in this particular chapter such particles as lo or al. They're not used with the infinitive construct. There's a whole new word which is called bilti. Bilti. What is it? Bacon, lettuce, and tomato. Easy to remember. Bilti or lebilti, and means simply not or in order not. So bilti would be our negation word for the infinitive construct, or liberty. The translation is absolutely the same.
Liberty?
So it's either not or in order not to, something like that. Okay? So if we'll have a phrase, liberty ketol, translation will be in order not to kill. Okay? Or it could be not to kill. Just simple. Okay, so if you will see that liberty, you should automatically think, okay, is this a negation statement, or is that a verb, is that a noun, why is it there? What does it precede? Okay?
Don't try that.
Well, that's what,
I can see myself trying to to break it down and saying it's got a T on the end, it's got a le in the beginning, and I mean, I can see me trying to.
just remember there's a bacon, lettuce, and tomato. BLT. Be a BLT sandwich.
I mean, le means in.
No sandwich for you. Sandwich Nazi image. Or soup Nazi. Go back.
So come back 1 year.
There are 5 common uses of infinitive constructs, and they're all listed on your pages 242 through 245. How they're used and how they're translated, and examples are here. With le, if there is a infinitive construct and there's le at the beginning of it, added to it, it is used usually to express purpose, intention, or result. So in our example here, Velo Nathan Adonai Lahem Lev Ladaat Ve'einaim Lirot Ve'aznaim Lishmoa Ad Hayom Hazeh. So you'll see in the red, which are these 3 infinitives, they're actually translated corresponding to the 3 red infinitives in English. But Yahweh or Adonai has not given to you a heart to know, lada'at, okay, or eyes to see, li're'ut, or ears to hear, li'shmo'a. You're supposed to shama'a, li'shmo'a. Okay? Deuteronomy 29:3, or in English it's 29:4. So this is the first example, first use. It's used to express purpose, intention, or resolve. He has not given you a heart to know, to see, or to hear. Not for that purpose. Okay? So the second use, with le, to denote action about to take place, which is called inceptive. Another example. So here we have infinitive construct li shachot. Okay, and that means to slaughter. And he took the knife in order to slaughter his son, which means the action was about to take place. We can almost imagine the real movie going on, and he picks up the knife, and we're already expecting the action. He was about to slaughter somebody. That was his son. And who is this episode about? Abraham.
I mean, so is that the infinitive used there to kind of just to emphasize that?
Yeah, in
I mean,
this
it was
particular
coming.
use.
It wasn't like he's thinking about doing it. It's that close.
He's in the process.
Yeah.
So
like
it's
beginning.
the action about to take place. It's almost imminent action.
Okay.
Okay.
That emphasizes.
The third use could be with or without le as preposition to it, as a verbal noun. For example, tov lechorod lechodot la Adonai. It's good to praise Yahweh. It's kind of just a statement, verbal now. It's good to praise Yahweh, that's all. There's nothing else that should trigger out any other discussions. The fourth use also could be with or without le. Would be translated as to, well actually it's used to explain, clarify, or complement a preceding action or statement. So it is used as a complementary infinitive. So in our example here, Veshamarta et mitzvot, right? Adonai Eleheha lalehet biderachai. I have the shading thing
Shadows
here,
off.
which is
That's
just
harsh. Well, it's not
annoying me. That's a font that came up with this. And you shall observe the commandments of Yahweh your God by walking in His ways. So it's clarification, how, or explanation, or complement. How am I supposed to observe the commandments? By walking in His ways. Basically by imitating Him. Okay? And it's all in the textbooks. Fifth and the last use of infinitive construct will be with be or ke prepositions added in the beginning. They will be used as a temporal clause, and they could be used with or without pronominal suffixes. So in our exemplary sentence here, you'll see how be is added to shekon, and actually will be translated as when or while Israel dwelt in that land. So be before the infinitive construct can be translated as when or while, not in. Okay? Because usual translation of preposition be is in or into, right? Well, here it's temporal clause, meaning time clause. When or while something was happening. And that could be translated only if it's adjacent to the infinitive construct. So that should make it easier for identifying. Any questions? Yeah, whatever. My question. Any questions? Then I have something for you. Vocabulary, and please do not email me and ask whether there is. Are we ready? Welcome to chapter 21. We'll be studying today Kal infinitive absolutes. This is another variation of infinitives. The infinitive absolute occurs less frequently than any other Hebrew conjugation, with only 872 total occurrences in the Bible. So it is the form that is rarely apparent in the text. However, because of its rare appearance in the text, we should be able to recognize it so that we will know that this is not an infinitive construct or any other conjugation, but rather infinitive absolute. Okay, let's move on. Like the infinitive construct, the infinitive absolute is also a verbal noun, so there's no difference in there. And like the infinitive construct, it is also not declined by gender, number, or person. If we look at the infinitive absolutes of the strong verbs, the infinitive absolute is not inflected from person, gender, number. We already discussed that.